Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Anfield Agenda. I am your host for tonight's late night agenda. It's been a tough, long day at work. My hair looks a mess. Don't get at me in the comments because I know what you horrible lot are like. But nonetheless, I'm here. And one thing I could do with up here at the minute, let alone down there, is Manscaped, who sponsor today's video as they do with all these late night agendas. They are the best men's grooming product out there, and they have recently launched their brand new Performance Package 4.0. And this includes a lot. You know, they've got the trimmer, and you need to join the 2 million men worldwide using their products. That includes myself, Craig, and everyone here at Anfield Agenda. We all want a bit of their grooming. Simple as that, really. The Performance Package 4.0 is class and will take your grooming game to the next level. Inside, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, which is the trimmer, the Weed Whacker, which is the ear and nose hair trimmer, I believe. You've got 2 free gifts in there as well, which I believe one of them is a free bag. And their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade. There's more. It's waterproof and it has LED lights, which means you can use it in the bath in the dark. Sounds like a dream. And it is. Your balls will thank you later. I'm telling you now. Use the code WFM20 at the checkout for 20% off. That's what you need to do. And we will get straight in with the video now. It's not really a late night agenda, is it? It's basically an early night agenda. We thought we'd go before the start of Monday Night Football. So there you go. I've told you to download Manscaped, and now we're going to get into tonight's news, and I'll try and answer as many comments as you like before we finish. But before I get into any of the news, after shouting out our boys at Manscaped, and remember WFM20 for 20% off. But yeah, go to the description, click the link for that. But right now, I need you to, if you're not already, subscribe to this channel. Go below, like the video, and then share it on social media. You know what? Yeah, for everyone who does it, you'll have to tag me and you'll have to share the hyperlink thing at the top. If you share it on Twitter and tag me, it's at JackLFCGill. I will follow everyone that does that, and hopefully we'll get quite a few people in the chat for this video. So thank you very much for joining me for this one today. We'll get straight into the news then, shall we? And we'll start with yesterday. Obviously, a big win against Leeds, a 3-0 victory, a dominant performance, a very good performance from Liverpool Football Club, one that I was overjoyed with, but it was marred by that injury, wasn't it, of Harvey Elliott? And yeah, not feeling good at all, really. After that injury, it looked bad, didn't it, at the time? Luckily, well, I say luckily, but we were given a small boost after the game that it is a dislocation, which sounds better than what we thought. You know, I thought it was a double leg break dislocation. I saw something from Stan Collymore, which I'm trying to keep by the facts today. I'm going to let you know what he tweeted yesterday. He said that Harvey Elliott's injury looks like something similar that he did whilst he was at Birmingham, I believe, Leicester, I think it is. He said that he dislocated and broke his ankle in one go. He basically said he thinks that Harvey has done the same as him. It's where the ankle pops out the socket, the dislocation stretches and snaps the ligaments. But he says that Stan Collymore was back in training in 6 weeks. As the ankle pops out, it can cause a break in the leg. It looks bad because of the angle of the ankle, but he should be back soon. It's painful nonetheless. However, I want to make it clear to all of you lot, and Connor's told me to say this, and I'm going to make it clear, all right? Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe, what you're seeing right now about the suspected times out and stuff. He's not even had his surgery yet. So, it won't have a time frame on his return. Just be patient, and we'll know sooner rather than later when he'll be back. I've seen loads of reports in the last 24 hours, people saying he'll still be out for the full season, because, looking at American sports and basketball and the NFL, when things like this have happened and how long they've spent out, I've seen people comparing it to the Andre Gomez injury. Myself have been included in doing that. We like guesswork in football, don't we? We like to say, right, it's probably this. We like to compare to other situations, but treat each individual circumstance as their own, because one thing that Harvey Elliott has in his favour is his age. His body, his bones heal quicker than, older footballers. So he's got that to benefit him. But also, because of his age, Liverpool won't want to rush him back. So there we go. We won't go into it. We won't guess. We won't say how long Harvey Elliott will be out for until we have the facts. And even then, I don't think Liverpool will release a proper timescale. With injuries like this we've seen in the past, they've not said how long they'll be out for. But yeah, as I've said before, age is completely on his side. So there we go. Anyway, I've seen a lot in the comments regarding Craig, and yeah, a lot of people. Obviously, he said last week that Sunday will be his last show on Anfield Agenda, but you've got me and Connor to thank, because he will be back on Wednesday for the watch along for Milan, and he will have a preview tomorrow. I'll let him explain why he's deciding not to properly step down yet and what he's deciding to do instead. But yeah, me and Connor, we had a chat. We pulled a few strings, didn't we, Connor? And yeah, your boy's still here. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, that's what's going on. But you lot have all got to give him as much praise and support as you possibly can in his next video and beyond. And as I say, if you're a mod, anyone, if you see disgusting comments that we get regularly for Craig, make sure you do all the relevant reporting, make sure he's blocked from the video, and etc. So yes, thanks ahead to you lovely people for doing that for us. But anyway, let's have a look at some of your comments early on. I'm going to look at your Harvey Elliott comments so far. I'm also going to, give me a roundup for yesterday, how you're feeling after the game, what are your thoughts on the performance, what are your thoughts on the 3-0 victory. Mane, I think I'll sum up what I thought of Sadio Mane yesterday. Performance really decent, in terms of had lots of energy, caused a lot of problems for Leeds, was dangerous throughout. In front of goal, though, quite poor, wasn't he? At the end, he got the goal that I think he deserved. He was always knocking at Leeds' door, scored, he had more shots than the whole Leeds team combined. But, in front of goal, he reminded me of when he first came to the club, where he was Mr. Inconsistent in front of goal, wasn't he? And he missed too many chances yesterday, he really did. And at times you saw him miss and smile as if, it just wasn't his day. But hopefully that goal, towards the end of the game will give him confidence and do his confidence a world of good in front of goal going forwards. So yeah, we'll see with Sadio Mane. But let me know in the comments what you thought. I'll analyse all of that. We got a couple more news stories to speak about, and then yeah, we'll go into the rest of your comments. But anyway, let me have a look. Anything else here? Scott Willow won with some positivity for me today, so thank you very much for that one. He says, Jack is brilliant, talks so much sense. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to have some positive comments. And Michael Manning too, saying, hope you're well, Jack, doing a great job. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, mate. And as I said to you all, make sure you share that link on Twitter, atting me in the process, and I will follow as many of you as possible. That is a promise from me. And make sure in the process you like the video, please. And if your notification bell isn't flicked on, then turn it on now. But anyway, we'll get into more of the comments. I've got something here actually that I do want to address about the Leeds fans yesterday. And it's K95 who's put the comments in about Leeds fans. And I saw a conversation about it earlier, but I want to put my own comment in because I thought they were disgusting yesterday. And don't get me wrong, it's not all Leeds fans. I'm not putting Leeds fans all in a category and saying they're all disgusting. I know a lovely Leeds fan in Joe Wayman who does, he's got his own channel that I'll make sure Connor puts in the comments now. But he's a top bloke. He joined me for a stream on Saturday night before the game. He's a great bloke, and there are some top Leeds fans out there. But there was a selection of them yesterday that really let the fan base down. Really, really did. The chants that they were singing when Harvey Elliott was being brought off on a stretcher, having suffered a horrific leg injury. All the fans in the stadium would have seen Mo Salah's reaction to it, the swift reaction and response from the Liverpool medical staff, which I thought was absolutely, impeccable. And they deserve praise for that. After the reaction from Salah, you expect something like that, but nonetheless, I think they deserve praise for it. But the Leeds fans don't deserve any praise, and actually, I think they deserve to be condemned by their own club. I think there was some disgusting videos going around of them doing some horrible gestures towards the, 96, which is now the 97. But I know at times they were singing about the 96 yesterday. But of course, it is now the 97. So they couldn't even get that right. But yeah, they were awful yesterday. They really were. And yeah, it left me quite upset after the game, to be honest, that Harvey Elliott had to go through that. That the families of the 97 have had to go through that once again. Another club that are doing that to them. I thought better of Leeds. I really, really did. But yeah, I thought their fans were awful yesterday. And as I said, not all of them, but there was a group of them, and it could be heard. I wasn't lucky enough to be at Ellen Road yesterday. It could be heard from my TV screen at times. Journalists. I saw James Pearce, I think, at one point tweet out about some of the chants they were singing, and yeah, disgusting from Leeds. And I won't say any more about that. We'll move on now, and I can see a lot. I can see a lot about that red card yesterday, and there was actually a debate in the office at work today, and Danny Wolfs says there was a Leeds fan on TikTok saying it wasn't a red card and it was a fair challenge. Now, I've recently got a new job in Liverpool, just to let you all know, that I'm doing for now, and this week I'm in Manchester for numerous different reasons, but I'm in the Manchester base, and there was a Leeds fan in work that I didn't, I met him for the first time today, and there's obviously a lot of Manchester United fans in the office that I'm in this week, and obviously I introduced myself as a Liverpool fan. We got chatting about football and about Anfield Agenda, so we might have got ourselves a few more subscribers there, gents. But yeah, we were chatting about that. And I said, I was explaining yesterday, someone said what an awful injury it was to Harvey Elliott, and the Leeds fan turned around and went, "Never a red though, was it?" Sorry, what? Never a red? Are you having a laugh? I explained yesterday, look, I have no doubt in my mind that Strike didn't mean to injure Harvey Elliott. Was it the worst challenge in the world? No. Was it a challenge that, if it wasn't for the injury of Harvey Elliott, probably a lot of refs would have given it a yellow card? Potentially, yes. However, in the laws of the game, and as I say, I've done plenty of refereeing in my time. In fact, this is the first season since I was about 14 years old that I've not been refereeing. And in the laws of the game, it says that if you endanger an opponent with a challenge, that it is a red card. And obviously, if you look at the leg of Harvey Elliott, which even Stevie Bloody Wonder would see, if you look at his leg, that's endangering his career. It's as simple as that. Klopp summed it up perfectly for me after the game. Strike will now miss 3 games, and obviously he missed a game that they were already losing by 2-0. Boo fucking who? Harvey Elliott is 18 years old. He was getting to, the breakthrough of his career, and that injury has occurred to him because as a result of the challenge from Strike. So have your 3-match ban. And for anyone that says it wasn't a red card, open your eyes and learn the laws of the game, because it's as simple as that. He has endangered Harvey Elliott with that challenge, whether he meant it or not. So no, it's not the game gone soft. It's not, it was never a red. It was a red. We'll move on. Anything else here? Ryan says, well said. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Ferno says, this will only make Harvey stronger. I hope so, mate. I said yesterday, that I think that at face value, when we saw it, we worried for the rest of Elliott's career, because, he was just getting to a great point where he was, breaking through. He just got his 3rd Premier League start in a row. But as I said at the start of the video, he's got age on his side. He's just 18. He's a phenomenal talent. And he's got the work ethic too, and he's got the mindset that you need to be a top footballer. He wants to make it at Liverpool. He'll do anything in his power to make it. And I can see him going on like a diet now, really bulking up, getting some muscle on, keeping himself fit, and trying to get back as quick as possible, because he knows he was reaching a really good part of his career where he was favoured by Jurgen Klopp. He was in the Liverpool team before the international break in a really important game against Chelsea, and then even after picking a small little niggly injury during the international break with the England under 21s, he still then started the first Premier League game back after the international break, which says a lot about what Jurgen Klopp is thinking about him at the minute. But anyway, I will have a look at the rest of the comments to see what you guys are thinking about that red card that I obviously just spoke about before. And I apologise. I am going to blow my nose in the middle of the stream because I'm struggling. And do you know what? I'm not sorry for that. But let's have a look. Anything else? Someone's put here. Michael Manning says 100% a red, Jack. Let's have a look. Anything else? Anything else? 100% honest. It wasn't an awful challenge, and it was a yellow always. But as soon as Harvey had to get taken off, and it was known that he did a serious challenge, it was always a red. That's kind of what I said, was it not? But it's endangering an opponent. So when you see the injury, when you see what happened to Harvey Elliott, it has to be. Sky has messed everything up, and I don't know what happened with what Sky were told, that the referee was always going to show a red card. I think that was probably after seeing the leg of Harvey Elliott, to be honest. But yeah, it's up for debate in whether it was a red card or not a red card. If the ref hadn't seen Harvey Elliott's injury and still given a red card, VAR wouldn't have overturned it because it wasn't clear and obvious. So it's one of them. There would be more of a debate. There would be a debate if Harvey Elliott hadn't have suffered the injury he had. Because he suffered that injury, there should be no debate. It's a red card. He's endangered an opponent with his challenge. It's as simple as that. It's black and white in the laws of the game. There we go. And kind of in what was lost but now found, says in terms of that is if it wasn't the injury that was suffered by Harvey Elliott. But with that injury in mind, it's always going to be a red. It's as simple as that. Let's have a look. Anything else? Bang on red card, says Matthew Jones. Anything else? Lots of people asking how long Elliott's out for, but obviously we don't know as yet. It's way too early for that. Let's have a look. Anything else? Dizzy Up the Fool says, I did feel bad for the Leeds player. He looked genuinely gutted, as you would be. As you would be. When you see an injury like that, you're going to be gutted. When you're the player that has caused that injury, you're going to feel even more gutted. I felt sick when I saw Mo Salah's reaction. I initially saw Elliott's leg, and I thought my head was playing tricks on me. And then I saw Salah's reaction, and immediately just felt sick. And then right then, from the end of the game, the scoreline at that point, the performance didn't matter to me. All that was in my head was Harvey Elliott and the injury he'd suffered. So yeah, if you're Strike, you would be gutted. And as I say, I feel for him too. It was a red card. Absolutely. He gets 3 games, which he, in his mind, will think, whether he thinks it's a yellow or a red, he knows that Harvey Elliott will be out for a lot longer than that. So yeah, absolutely gutting. And I don't really want to talk too much more about that because yeah, it's a horrible injury. And I think I want to praise Harvey Elliott even more, because I think his character, his mindset, his hunger to be a success in this game needs to be praised. You see the photos of him watching Liverpool on his phone from his hospital bed. You hear the story of him giving the kid in the hospital bed next to him his top and his boot from the game. And you see his Instagram stories where he looks high as a kite when he's clearly been on all kinds of painkillers and probably other stuff to numb the pain. It's just great to see. And that kid, that kid is 18 years old. And when he first started coming through as a kid, rival fans said about sorting his haircut out and stuff like that. He looked like a child with that haircut, didn't he? But he's had his trim. He looks more mature. He's conducting himself in such a mature manner. I remember him at Blackburn last season during the period where it was the anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster, and watching him go to one end of Ewood Park, the side where the Kop end would be at Anfield, and placing down a wreath as his respect to the 96, now 97, that lost their lives during that Hillsborough disaster. And, for a man that is, a boy who is 4 years younger than me, he puts me to shame. He really does. So mature. And a player who is a role model for me at just 18 years old, and a role model for everyone trying to make it as a footballer right now. And yeah, he'll make it through this. He'll come back stronger, as Ferno said earlier, because he's got the mindset and the willing and the desire to want to come back and to make it. So yeah, I'm supporting him the whole way. And he won't be watching this, he won't be, but maybe Connor will clip it up, maybe it'll go on Twitter, and maybe he's more likely to see it. But yeah, I absolutely love Harvey Elliott, and yeah, my heart goes out to him, because I speak for many Liverpool fans when I say that we were gutted yesterday. We were heartbroken to see him as the man down, with his ankle in the state that it was. And yeah, fingers crossed that he has a speedy recovery, and yeah, hopefully he's not out for too long and he comes back stronger. Anyway, we've got some more news to come now, and remember to keep your comments coming. I will try and read out and answer as many questions as I possibly can. I'm here till about 8 o'clock this evening, and then I'm going to go and watch Everton against Burnley in a mid-table clash, or it will be a mid-table clash at the end of the season. There's still loads of people in the comments asking how long Elliott's out for, and I'll say again, we don't even know the full extent of the injury yet. We know that it's a dislocation for now, but there may be more that we understand from the surgery that is this week. So we'll wait to hear about that. We'll wait to hear about the true extent of the injury and how long he's out for before we make anything up. So yeah, there we go. Let's have a look. Anything else here? Let's have a look for the news. Yeah, I want to talk about Thiago Alcantara. I thought he had a decent performance yesterday. I still think it wasn't perfect. I still think I've seen better performances from Thiago Alcantara in a Liverpool shirt. I'm still of the belief that he's a world-class player. Would he fit other teams better than he fits us? Probably yes. Is he still a player that we are so lucky to have? Absolutely. And yesterday was a game that suited him. Were there still shaky moments from him? Yes, at times. But it was still a very good performance from Thiago. And him and Fabinho, I thought, were very good yesterday. I thought Fabinho was better. Fabinho was man of the match for me, and I know he got man of the match. But he was still a very good player yesterday, Thiago Alcantara. And though he gave the ball away at times, I saw some fans in the comments of the stream yesterday after the game suggest that they felt he slows the game down too much, which he can do at times, but that's just what you get from a world-class player like him. That's just his style of play. For me, he was still a very good player for Liverpool yesterday, and one of one of his better performances in a Liverpool shirt. And Gary Neville has spoken about him after the game. He said that he reminded him of Paul Scholes. So high praise for Thiago Alcantara. And there's a full quote here. He said, what Thiago did today was what he was brought in to do. And I would agree with that. He was class, particularly in the first half. So yeah, I think he did really well. And as he deserved to start in the game in midweek? Probably, yeah. In that midfield with probably Fabinho, probably Henderson. That'll be the midfield three that I expect to see against Milan. Will Klopp make a few changes? I don't think so. I think Henderson will come in. I think it'll be the same front three. And I think probably the same back four, maybe a change at centre-back. Maybe you won't have Robbo playing 2 games in a week after, playing 3 games during the international break, having missed the first 2 games of the season with that ankle injury that he picks up in pre-season. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens and what the team uses for that game against Milan. But we'll talk about that more later in the week, I'm sure. But anyway, let me move on and have a look what your comments are about Thiago. John W. Henry agrees with me. He says Thiago was class in the first half. So, John, can you tell me, is that what you brought him in to do? Steve Wilton says Thiago knows what the tempo needs to be. He is 2 steps ahead and is thinking. This is an important comment, and I didn't mention this before, but this is something I've thought about before. When you see football fans that have no idea what they're talking about the game, when they go, Thiago slows it down. We've seen a lot of things before with Liverpool, and we know Jurgen Klopp loves his heavy metal football. And there was a time yesterday where we saw Jurgen Klopp furious with Thiago at one point, and there's still stuff that Thiago can improve on, and as I say, there's still stuff that I can see he's still trying to adjust to in English football. But that's what you get when you're a world-class player. Sometimes, he thinks 2 steps ahead, and he thinks this is what's best to do because he's so good. And yes, at times he can strike me as a futsal player, and potentially it's not great in a Jurgen Klopp side, but it's still very good, and he still brings us something different. And I think, I completely agree, Steve. He dictates the tempo. He's that kind of player. And when we're used to, as Liverpool fans, and used to as fans of a club who are so lucky to have a man with the tactics and style of Jurgen Klopp, where it is so fast a lot of the time, when you have a player like Thiago who likes to pick up the ball, likes to slow it down and do his own thing, some fans are obviously going to be like, hang on, that's not what Klopp likes. But bringing in Thiago is about something different. And, for me, he is world class and the best in the world at what he does. There is no one else in the game of, there's no one else really in Europe that brings what Thiago brings. So, yeah, for me, he's a different type of player, and one that we brought in to bring us something different, and that's exactly what he brings. And to have another world-class player in our squad is brilliant. And he's not for some, of course he's not. He's a very unique type of player, which is what I was getting at there. People clip that up and go, oh, he's calling Thiago the best always does. Oh, what does he know? But yeah, he's unique. That's why people don't like him, because he's fucking unique. He is like a futsal player in how he plays the game. But yeah, I think we're lucky to have him. He brings something really different, and I like him. I really do. But yeah, I know people go, well, he's had enough time now. He should know everything about the game. But when you're that good, when you're that unique, sometimes you do it your own way. And in some games, Jurgen Klopp will go, yeah, this one's not for Thiago. But, in others, he'll bring what he brought to us yesterday. It's as simple as that. Let's have a look. Anything else? I want to talk about Fabinho then. Fabinho's performance yesterday. K 2.0 says, so happy for Fab. Also, he needed that goal for his dad, and the team was so happy for him. It made my heart melt. Yeah. He had a tough start to the season, didn't he? Losing his dad. And yesterday, he was phenomenal. He showed exactly why, for me, he's one of the best defensive midfielders in world football. He's so good at breaking play up. So good. He broke up every sniff that Leeds had a decent counter-attack. Fabinho was there, Fabby long legs, as I like to call him. He's so good at doing that, breaking up play, recycling it. He's just a joy to watch, isn't he, when he performs like he did yesterday. And to round it off with a goal to his name as well. Yeah, what a performance. And yeah, to be able to say that was for his dad. Yeah, he did his dad proud yesterday. He really did, and a phenomenal performance. He was the key. He was the key for us yesterday, because we know what Leeds are like. We know that you can create a lot of chances against them, like we did, but we know they're a threat on the counter, and they like to, hit you quickly. They like to create those 1v1s. But Fabinho made sure that very little of them happened yesterday, and it made it a dominant performance from us, because we were allowed to just attack, because Fabinho was so good at doing what he does best. So yeah, absolutely buzzing for him. I really was. Great performance, and yeah, hat off to you, Fabinho. Love you, mate. Let's have a look. Thiago only needs game time. Keep watching and see how good he really is. I'd agree with that. I think it's been very difficult for him to properly adjust to English football because it's been so stop-start, hasn't it? He came in, we saw what he could do at Stamford Bridge in his first game for us, didn't we? I remember watching that, thinking, I watched that several times with a box of tissues next to me. That was watching Thiago Alcantara at his best. Yes, Chelsea were with 10 men. This is the first game of last season, by the way, that he played in at Stamford Bridge when we won. We won that game quite comfortably in the end with Christensen sent off. But he came on. He absolutely ran the show. You have to watch him at the end of last season when we went on that, run towards the end of the season, and that's what got us Champions League football this year. And he was phenomenal then as well. He's been shaky at times at the start of this season. I don't think it was, his best performance yesterday, but it was still a lot better from Thiago. And for me, we need to see this on a regular basis now, and he's earned a start in the next game. Will he keep it up? Probably yes, because he's a world-class player. He gives us something different. And will it work in every game? Will he be Klopp's first choice in the midfield for every game? Probably not. No. Because there's games more than others that are suited for Thiago, and that's why you need depth in the midfield. But for me, he's a world-class player, and he has to start against Milan. It's as simple as that for me. But anyway, we'll move in. We are more all-round solid when Fab is in the side, says Scott Willow. Yeah, absolutely are. It's as simple as that. He's so good at what he does. He really, really is. Oh, so good. Stuff about Trent here. How do you think Trent went? And I can see more. Mox2632 says Trent is shit. What are you smoking? What are you smoking? How can you say that? You're literally talking about the best right back in world football, the guy that has reinvented the position. Nobody wanted to be a fullback before Trent broke through, and he has reinvented the whole idea of a fullback. You see so many more wing backs since he's come through. You see so many more fullbacks with the idea of attack first. That is what Trent has done to the modern fullback, and loads of people see Trent now, and that's what you want in a fullback now. It's brought a new dimension to what a fullback can bring. There's the famous saying, isn't it? Saying that no one grew up wanting to be a Gary Neville. And now we have so many fullbacks because now people have seen that you can have a lot of creativity from fullback. And, I think it's an absolute myth that Trent can't defend. I really, really do. It's an absolute myth. And I think at times yesterday, did Jack Harrison get the better of him? Yeah, at times. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. The best players in the world have mistakes in them. And Trent is one of them. And he's going to make mistakes, It doesn't mean all of a sudden, every defensive mistake he makes, all of a sudden everyone goes, Trent shit, Trent can't defend. Fuck off. He's human. You know what I mean? It is, in the way we play, the way he played yesterday, going forward, it was absolutely outstanding. The way Leeds play, they try to attack quickly. They're going to make it seem like, he's out of position at times and stuff like that. But no, I thought it was a good performance from Trent. Did he get caught out of position at times? Yes. Is that to be expected from how he plays as a right back? Yes. Is that why we play the way we do? Absolutely. In the fact that, we make sure he has cover and stuff like that. At one point, Salah, I think, was phenomenal and showed what he can do defensively. He covered for Trent really well. And showed his work ethic and showed that he's good at tracking back too. I don't understand that comment. So, you know what? I can see you're a United fan now, so I don't know why I've entertained you. But yeah, jog on. Anything else? John W. Henry's saying it as well. Like I'm saying, I think it's difficult. I think I saw him getting told off by Van Dyke at times. But it's to be expected. And yes, it wasn't his greatest game defensively. But as I say, Leeds are so good and quick with their transitions. Such fast transitions that they would have seen Trent's position up the pitch as something to try and exploit. And they did attempt it at times. Trent was out of position at times. But I thought that comment before is ridiculous. It really is. Sunset Boulevard, Trent is the best in the world at what he does, period. Yeah, absolutely. I don't get what this is. Trent is 22. Absolutely. That's why I say what I do about him, because, you know, people forget his age. When people talk about him, they're like, oh, come on, he's not that good. He's 22. You know, he's already won the Premier League. He's already won the Champions League. He's already reinvented the word fullback. And, you know, he's got so much more to give. Age just 22. He's my age. And he's performing like he is. You know, yes, it wasn't his greatest of games yesterday. At times he sacrificed, you know, getting back for creativity, I think, and found himself out of position a lot. But he's still phenomenal. He's still the best right back in the world. And everyone that jumps on that, oh, he's rubbish because he made one mistake. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Anything else? Ferno, thoughts on Matip last night? Wow. He is one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, in my opinion. When he's fully fit, he is a phenomenal centre-back. He really is. It could be argued that when he's fit, he's up there with the best in the Premier League at the back. You know, what he brings, he's got the qualities of a midfielder as well. I know, obviously, he played in the six during his time at Schalke. And you can see that in the way he plays at centre-back. And he's so good defensively. He's so good on the ball. You know, he loves to stride forward with his long, you know, strides as well when he's got the ball at his feet. And I thought yesterday was a phenomenal performance once again from Joel Matip. And at the minute, he's keeping out Ibrahima Konate, obviously our new signing of the summer, our only signing of the summer, Joe Gomez. He's keeping both of them out with his constant phenomenal performances. And yeah, absolutely, you know, buzzing for him that he's keeping these performances up. And hopefully he can get these run of games, he can stay fit, and he can be a long-term partner for Virgil van Dijk this season, because those two are a phenomenal pairing. They really, really are. And yeah, once again, impressed with Joel Matip, Ferno. Thank you for your question again. Let me have a look. Anything else? Here's a question from Connor Crosby, saying which, obviously our very own Connor Crosby, that is, saying which centre-backs would you play on Wednesday? I think this is interesting because, you know, both Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip have suffered long-term injuries, obviously kept them out of most of last season. We saw Virgil van Dijk was, of course, had a bit of a fitness issue during the international break as well. We know that Joel Matip obviously doesn't play for Cameroon and therefore, you know, had the international break off. So will Klopp decide to rest Virgil van Dijk? That's an interesting thought. Will he bring in Konate to debut against Milan at Anfield? We'll see. You know, for me, I think on performance, you have to go with Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip. Keep them in the rhythm of what they've been playing in at the minute. But if Klopp risks Van Dijk, if he's not still fully fit after what we saw during the international break, and he's to then get injured, there's questions to be asked, isn't there? So, yeah, I suppose it depends on the player. It depends on Virgil van Dijk. It depends on his fitness. Depends on whether he thinks he's got another, you know, 90 minutes in him, and if he can keep playing back to back, you know, twice a week. Excuse me, bear with. Then, if he doesn't need a rest, then he has to go. But all I'm saying is that we're in a situation where either of those two might need a rest, because we know that they've not long come back from a long-term injury, and they might not be able to play back-to-back. We saw with Virgil van Dijk for the Netherlands, he didn't play all 3 games. And I have no doubt that Klopp probably told Louis van Gaal to not play him in all 3 games, and it worked best to you know, separate them. But then obviously at the end of the 3rd game, he picked up that little knock. So yeah, it'll be down to Virgil van Dijk and Jurgen Klopp and whether they both feel as though he can play, you know, a full 90 again, and he can play 3 times in 7 days and stuff like that. Liz Colden asks, Jack, do you think Robbo gets a rest on Wednesday? Yeah, probably. We saw, I think it was Paul Joyce, was it? Or was it Pierce? tweeted out earlier last week that they thought that Tsimikas may come in for Robbo against Leeds purely because, Robbo played all 3 games during the international break. He looked a bit shaky against Chelsea before the international break, and obviously before that he was out with that ankle injury. Tsimikas looked good in those first 2 games for us. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Tsimikas comes in to replace Robbo, give Robbo a rest. I think for me, we will probably see Tsimikas come in, and I think for that reason we'll probably see Van Dyke start. And will it be, Van Dyke then rested at the weekend? We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Let's have a look. Anything else? I know I've got some more news, so before I read your comments, I'm just going to read out the next piece of news, which is that it's official. We have had some FIFA ratings, and there have been downgrades for some Liverpool players. I don't understand, right? I never understand how FIFA do their ratings, but here we go. Salah has become an 89 from a 90. Van Dijk's become an 89 from a 90. I assume that's because nobody knew what he'd be like after that injury last season. Because, again, it's all guesswork from FIFA, isn't it? Mane's become an 89 from a 90, and Alisson's become an 89 from a 90. I don't get how they do it. I don't want to give it much time, but I know there's some people that play FIFA in the comments. I play FIFA, but the ratings always confuse me, and they go up and down like clockwork all season anyway. So, yeah, means nothing to me. And finally, a bit of news, a bit of transfer news. I don't know why we bother with this because we never end up signing anyone. But we might sign this guy because I can see he's only 19 and he's from Fleetwood Town. This says Liverpool and Manchester City are considering a swoop for Fleetwood Town wonderkid James Hill. He's a 19-year-old centre-back and he's impressed throughout the season so far. And there are very positive scouting reports on this lad, apparently. So that could be one to watch. We know we like to sign them young and nurture them through, and it may be worth keeping an eye on this lad. Let me know if you've heard of him before. I've heard of him. Obviously, you know that I like to keep my eye on the youngsters coming through at different clubs. I like to look down in the lower leagues, and I have friends who are Football League fans and fans of teams in League One. So I've heard of this guy. I've obviously not been able to watch him, but from what I've heard, he sounds like a decent little player coming through. There's also a lad on loan from Manchester City at Sunderland, who I've been told is, a potential England captain in the future. He's meant to be a phenomenal talent. I think his name's Doyle, Callum Doyle. Sounds like a great player for the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. Actually, I want to go down and watch him at some point if I can. But yeah, apparently he started the season really, really well for Sunderland. So yeah, let me have a look. Anything else? I'm going to answer your questions then and your comments for the last 17 minutes or so of this video, and see what you guys have got to give me. But yes, Craig will be doing a video for tomorrow. He will be doing his watch along for the Milan game on Wednesday, so delighted to bring you that news. That's a bit of our own news from Anfield Agenda. So yeah, you got me and Connor to thank for that. We put the contract on the table, and now I'm joking. So that's the news there. Let's have a look. I'll let him answer why. Furno says, thoughts on the youngster that we signed from Newcastle, Bobby Clark, I think it is. I've heard good things, mate. As I say, I didn't watch too much of Newcastle's youth sides, but from what I've heard of Bobby Clark, he seems like a decent player. And, I was a huge fan of Kate Gordon before we bought him in. But I'll be honest with this one, I'm going in pretty blind. I've not heard too much of Bobby Clark. But I've asked around, I've asked a few questions, and Newcastle fans are gutted to be losing the lad. So yeah, I think it's really good and a positive signing for us. But we'll have to wait and see. He's only very young, and we'll have to give this lad time. I don't think he'll be anywhere near the first team just yet. I don't think it's like Harvey Elliott or Cade Gordon or Musialowski, where we think they're on the boundaries of the first team for now. I think he'll go and play with the 18s and 23s for the rest of the season. Let's have a look. Pornesh Luchmadu says, Jack, just a question. From your perspective, which team do you think will win the Premier League? Winky face question mark. from a Manchester United fan. Liverpool, because we're going to win every game 6-0 from now till the end of the season. No. If we aren't to win it, which I don't think we will, because I don't think we have enough depth to win the Premier League this season, I think Chelsea will win it. And, I'm going to put an unpopular opinion forwards that I wouldn't be surprised. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not necessarily saying I think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea were to go invincible. And I'll explain why. Not only do they have an incredible starting 11, not only do they have an incredible squad, incredible depth in the majority of their positions, but under Thomas Tuchel, they are so effective, incredibly effective. And, we saw a Champions-like performance from them with 10 men against us at Anfield. And it's performances like that that win you leagues. And, because of how effective they are, it's hard to see them getting beat many times, isn't it? So, I think they're outstanding, Chelsea. They really, really are. And they're certainly, for me, the biggest threat for the title this season. And yet, as Jug points out, it was a missed opportunity from us to beat Chelsea. And yes, they weren't great on the day, but that's what I mean about them just being so effective, just so hard to break down, just so hard to beat. That's why they ended up as Champions League winners last season. And that's why, I think they'll lose very little this season across all competitions, because the depth is so good. And they're just so hard to beat under Tuchel. That back three looks so good for them. They're so difficult to break down, so tough to break down, and it's just so effective for them. It really, really is. Brian Morrissey says that's a big shout, Jack. Yeah, it is. It is a big shout. And James Rule says, invincible, haha, they finished 4th last season. Yeah, they finished 4th last season, but they brought in everything that they were missing last season when Thomas Tuchel came in. They're missing goals. They brought in Lukaku, who is world class. Lukaku is a joy to watch. He was a very good footballer before he went to Italy. He got a lot of praise. A lot of hate, myself included. I like to have a joke with Lukaku. He looked like a player at times that was playing in jeans and Timberlands. Yes. But he's gone to Italy. He's really improved his game. He's become even better. He's come back with a point to prove, and he's absolutely phenomenal. I was really impressed with him in Italy, and I was worried when he signed for Chelsea. He was everything they needed. They brought Saul in as well, who for me is a top player, and you only had to look at his pass at the weekend to see that. They're well stacked. They've got so many good players, and for me, they are most likely to win the league this season. I really, really do. Anything else here? Thoughts on a Keita, Hendo, Jones midfield for Milan? I don't think we'll see that, Steve. I think we'll see Fabinho. Thiago, and Henderson. I think that'll be the midfield. I think Naby will come on with about half an hour or so to go. That midfield would be nice, though. I don't think Klopp will make 3 changes in the midfield for it, but who knows? I can't see it personally. I really can't. Anything else here? Patrick says Liverpool are 1 player injured from fighting it out with Everton for the Europa League spot. Only if we lose Salah. That's the only way that I see that. So, yeah. Anything else here? Brian Morrissey says Saul had a bit of a nightmare, to be fair. Hooked at half-time. Yeah. It wasn't his greatest of performances, was it? But we know how difficult it is to adjust to Premier League football. And, he was given a start straight away, which shows he's impressing in training. He was brought off at half-time. Yes, but you have to see that Tuchel is clearly impressed with what he sees in training. There were still good moments from Saul. And for me, you can't read into it after 1 game in the Premier League because it's such a difficult league to adjust to and people need time. So in answer to Josh, no. I don't think we dodged a bullet. I think people need time to adjust. And as Liverpool fans, we should know that more than anyone else because we know what Klopp likes to do in terms of bedding players in, giving them time to adjust to Premier League football. We've seen with Thiago how long it's taken for him to adjust to English football. So yeah, don't read into things with Saul. But in terms of his wages, potentially, but you can't judge a player after one half of football. You can't judge a player who has come to England on one half of football trying to adjust to the way the game is here. No. Anything else? We need some signings in Jan, says Donald Bellas Kimball. Stevie Wonder could have told me that, mate. Of course we do. We didn't sign anyone other than Konate in the summer. I think it's difficult. Do we have to do it in Jan or can we wait till the summer? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? We need signings. We need more depth. We were worried about injuries. Our replacement for Shaqiri and our Genie replacement, which was Harvey Elliott, is now injured and we have no idea how long it's out for. But when he got injured yesterday, after seeing the images and the videos and seeing it in live, what happened to Harvey Elliott in his ankle. We thought he may be missing the rest of the season. Now we know it's a dislocation and it may be different. And we were a bit relieved to hear that, though. As I say, we don't know anything for sure yet. It's still clear that we need players because we were going a bit short into this season as it was, and now like that we've had a horrific injury. So yeah, depth is looking low already. We've also got Firmino on the treatment table, and we don't know how long he's out for yet. That hasn't been confirmed by the club. Origi was at the game yesterday, but he wasn't in the squad. Is he injured? Who knows there. Minamino got injured on international duty. Who knows how long he's out for? So yeah, we do need additions. It's as clear as day. Anything else? Ferno thinks Saul is a shit John McGinn. Interesting. Brian Morrissey says, I was still expecting a bid from Turkey for Origi after the window closed in England. Potentially there was an inquiry that we've not heard about. But realistically, they probably knew that Liverpool weren't going to sell with our lack of options anyway. But it says something that, Klopp would prefer to have Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench as a false nine option than have Origi in the squad because we've not heard anything of an injury. So we've just got to assume that he's not good enough to get near the squad at the moment. And, is Klopp doing it to try and get something more out of Origi? I think in his last few performances from Liverpool for Liverpool, it's looked like Origi's heart or head hasn't been in it. He's looked like he's not interested. He's looked a bit lazy. It's just looked like he doesn't really want to be playing for Liverpool. So has Klopp done it to pressure him to want to play, to want to fight for his spot in the squad and perform better when he gets his opportunity? Who knows? Looks like January now, says Brian Morrissey. Yeah, he probably will leave in January, Origi now. And yes, we probably will have to take action in January and sign some players. Furlow says, let's save St. Maximan from Newcastle in January and Adeyemi from Salzburg. Yeah, some strong links to Adeyemi. That looks like that's genuinely got legs. And St. Maximan, I think, is a really exciting player to watch. I've not heard any rumours or links with that. I think it's just admiration from Liverpool fans towards a top player who, is a joy to watch. Anything else here? Before I go, I'm only here for 6 minutes more, so in the comments, give me some questions quickly. Some questions, some comments. What do you think? We've got 309 people in the chat. Surely some of you have questions before I go. Anything else? Thoughts on Salah's contract situation, this says. Well, it's gone relatively quiet, hasn't it? And hopefully behind the scenes, it's being negotiated. I think this is the most important business we could have done last summer. With the Mbappe situation not sorted at PSG and it looking like he's going to go on a free to Real Madrid, will they come for Mohamed Salah? We don't want him going cheaper for what what we don't want him going at all, let alone going on the cheap. And if he ends up running his contract down, that's an absolute nightmare for us. So yeah, for me, that contract is important. And for me, I'd be putting a blank piece of paper down and saying to Salah, write your own contract. I really would, because he's earned it. There's no one in the world that could bring us exactly what he's bringing us. He joined the Premier League 100 club yesterday, which is just phenomenal. He's broken so many records since moving to us. And yeah, the contract writes himself. Give him what the fuck he wants, because he deserves it. And yes, we have a wage structure. I know that. I know it's complicated. I know giving him what he wants could mess that up. But we speak all the time about wanting to play for Liverpool. And I think what Salah's getting is what he deserves. I think he gets exactly what he deserves in the contract. And, it's not like he's going to get a wage increase and then start to play shit. We know what he brings us, with or without a contract. And yeah, for me, he deserves the money that he's asking for. He really does. And that's if that's even true. I don't believe the reports at all. So there you go. Pay the man exactly what he's worth. Let's have a look. Anything else? Brian Morrissey saying, did he have surgery today? I don't know, mate. All I heard is that it will be at the start of this week, so who knows whether that's today or not. He was released at one point from hospital yesterday, wasn't he? I assume they popped his ankle back in and then they booked his surgery for this week at some point. I like this one. Who would you say is the most important player to our success? I think there's numerous different answers to this, because I don't think you can pick out one player. If you're looking for our attack and for the man to bring us goals, it's clearly Mo Salah. Yeah. But if you look at last season, who holds the defence together, it's Virgil van Dyke. As for, creativity, Trent is a big part in that. When you look at, breaking up play, Fabinho, he showed that against Leeds. So good at breaking up counter-attacks. We don't really have one player that is the most important to our success. We have a team. And that's what's great about Liverpool Football Club. That's what's great about this crop of players that we've got at the moment. This is an interesting one. What's my favourite type of pie? Steak and kidney pie. I love them. There we go. Love a steak pie. Steak and ale, steak and kidney, steak pie. Can't go wrong with steak. Steak. Love steak. You're making me hungry. But yeah, that's me. But we'll move on. And obviously this guy, it's got to be Pie Face, who, I don't even consider as a streamer anymore after watching his performance in the Clash of the Creators. He was like a prime Lev Yashin, wasn't he? Wow, what a player. Let's have a look. Anything else? Yes, I do. This comment, yes. When me and Craig spoke to James Pearce, we said to him, about this season, and he said that the feeling in the Liverpool camp was they were happy that people were writing us off and not putting us at the top of the table. And I think that's the mindset that we thrive upon as Liverpool fans and as a football club. Yes, our depth is a question, but it's if we're to get injuries. Now, no injuries are to be expected throughout the season, but there is a universe where we manage to cope, and our key players do manage to play all season. We have rivals who have injuries to key players, and though they have depth, we still are able to put out our starting side for the majority of the season, and therefore that benefits us. So yeah, there we go. I agree with you there. Anything else? Time to watch Everton lose, says Jugs. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it. And by the way, I know I butchered his name. I apologise for that. Yeah, I feel ill, so let me use that as my excuse, please. We all know that I'm rubbish with pronunciations of names anyway. But yeah, I'm ill, so let me off. But thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate you all joining. I shall see you very soon. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you later. Ta-ra.